Let's take these app icons and make them horror themed. First up is Temu. I'll start by erasing all the icons above the Temu typeface. Once that is clean, I'll replace them with my own. We're talking a knife, a chainsaw, a screwdriver, and a broken bottle. I'd be a little skeptical about the quality though. Next, I'll desaturate the background so we're left with this washed out dead orange. Then I'll start adding blood to every single weapon. And once the blood is on the weapons, I'll connect it downward, letting it drip straight onto the Temu letters below. Finally, I hit the text with some blood spatters to finish it off, so here's the horror version of the Temu icon. Next up is Facebook. I'll start by tracing the F shape from the original icon. Then I'll drop in a grass image and a dark sky to build out the scene. After that, I'll color correct the grass to match the background, which has more of a cold bluish tone. Once I'm happy with how that sits, I'll integrate the tombstone texture directly into the F. But it's still looking flat. I need to sell the perspective, so I'll add extra shapes to the sides of the F and darken them to give it real depth. Then I'll color correct the whole thing and push the blues even further. Next, I'll bring in zombie hands reaching up from below and color correct those as well. I'll add shadows on the tombstone from where the hands are touching it. Following that, I'll add a moon as the light source and blend it into the sky and give it a glow so it actually feels like it belongs. Plus, I just needed a light source. Once the moon is in place, I'll go back to the right zombie hand and shade it properly so it looks like the moonlight is actually hitting it. Then I'll darken the whole Facebook logo and remove any parts that shouldn't be catching light. I'll do the same to the hands. Finally, I'll add blood to the logo and to the hands, and then I'll hit it with a camera raw filter, and here's the horror version of Facebook. Next up is Luma AI, but before I touch Photoshop in this video, I had a problem. I knew exactly what I wanted to create, but the assets I needed, they don't exist as stock images anywhere. And if you're anything like me and you've been doing this for a while, you know how long it can take to find the right images for your artworks. So I started to create with Luma AI. The Luma agents aren't just an AI you type at, they're a creative intelligence that actually understand the physical world. Motion, space, and perspective. They collaborate with you across multiple turns, guiding and refining the work as you go. I described what I needed, gave them my sketch, and they got to work. When something wasn't right, and sometimes it wasn't, the agents caught their own mistakes. They flagged them and fixed them without me asking. Every asset in this scene was created with Luma. I directed and they executed. It's honestly easy to get into, and once you get the hang of it, it's unlike anything else. And once my design was done, I even used Luma to bring it to life, but you'll see that in a bit. If you're a creative and you're not using this yet, try the Luma agent yourself. The link is in the description, or scan the QR code. Thanks Luma AI for sponsoring this video. Now, here's how the Luma AI icon came together. I'll start by integrating the first asset, the isometric room where everything is going to happen. Once that is in place, I'll add the chair into the scene. Now this chair was put here for a very unlucky man, so let's add him into the scene too. And then the man laying on the floor, and no, he's not just sleeping. Next, I'll start masking out the tools lying around the unconscious man. After that, I'll adjust the perspective on the screwdriver because unfortunately for this guy, that one goes into his knee. Once that is done, I'll start layering shadows across the whole scene so every element actually feels like it belongs together. Now, the guy on the chair needs some work, even though he already has a tool stuck in his knee, but anyways, the lighting was backwards on him, so I'll darken him down to match where the light source should be hitting. Following that, I'll add blood into the scene, and it looks exactly as good as I hope it would. Now, if you don't want the person who did all of this to show up at your door tonight, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. That'll work on the man lying behind the wall. I give him contact shadows and make him feel grounded in the scene. Then I'll bring in a workbench and a desk with a TV screen and give both of them shadows underneath. I'll also add blood on these elements too. Finally, I'll exaggerate the light hitting the main subject, and before I forget, let me also add some contact shadows on the ground and on the wall from the desk and the workbench. And that's the horror version of the Luma AI icon. We still have Netflix and Candy Crush at the end, but next up is Telegram. Now for Telegram, I'll start by tracing the shapes of the original icon. Then I'll make the background red and make sure the logo pieces have their own colors within that scheme. Then I'll integrate the creature into the scene and clean up the mask. After that, I'll color correct it to pull in more reddish tones so it actually feels like it lives inside this world. Next, I'll add shading under the hands that are gripping the paper plane. Then I'll create white silhouettes, which are people falling through the sky. Just wait and see what happens to them later. I'll also add a silhouette of a man still hanging on. Well, barely. Following that, I'll add clouds under the creature and under the plane, but I'll change those out later. They were looking too realistic for the graphic style we're going for here. Then I'll puppet warp the creature's legs so it actually wraps around the plane, like it's using its whole body to hold on. I'll use the clone stamp to extend the leg a bit because now it just looks like a separate leg attached to the plane. This is where I swap the sky for the clouds that match the graphic style better. Now for the blood. I'll start with the hanging man and then move on to the one falling face down. I'll make his blood trail go upward because he's in a free fall and, well, that's what happens. Then I'll add a blood trail on the plane from where the other man fell, followed by blood on the creature and spatters across the plane. And here's the horror version of Telegram. Next up is CapCut. Now for CapCut, I'll start with a metallic kitchen as the background. Then I'll build my own table in front of it from scratch. I would love to bore you with this, but today's attention span is non-existent, so let's do some magic. Here you go, a table. Next, I'll add a shadow underneath and soften the edges with a brush. Then I'll mask out one of the ceiling lights from the background, duplicate it onto its own layer, and remove the original 2 lights from the scene. I'll reposition the duplicate so there's one clean light source in the center, then shade the table darker on the outside and lighter in the middle to match it. After that, I'll create a wooden cutting board from the same shapes I use for the table. Then I'll bring in 2 knives and a hand underneath. It's safe to say we're not cutting caps in this one. I'll fix the lighting and shading on the knives to integrate them, and I'll do the same for the hand. The hand gets desaturated for obvious reasons, I guess. Following that, I'll bring in the arm and integrate a hole where they separated. Then comes the blood. I'll give the arm on the floor contact shadows, adjust the lighting on it, and start adding spatters on the floor and on the table. And finally, a camera raw filter, and that's the horror version of CapCut. Adding cuts to a clip has a whole different meaning now. Next up is Netflix. I'll start by tracing the N shape, and because the original logo has that distinctive drop shadow built in, I'll split it into 3 separate shapes right from the start. Once I have those 3 shapes, I'll integrate a muscle tissue texture across all of them so the N is built out of actual flesh. Then I'll add the shadows that the original logo has. After that, the edges look too clean and sharp, so I'll go over the whole thing and rough it up. Once that is done, I'll add fresh blood. Now, my dumbass forgot to hit record. Again. Anyways, I'll bring in a creature that's hiding behind the Netflix logo. It's looking at you through the gap in the end. Makes you wonder what show it's watching, hey? Then I'll add 2 arms wrapped around the logo. After that, I'll add shading to the arms and make sure everything reads correctly in the scene. Then I'll bring in light from the top left and make it feel cinematic, erasing parts of it so it looks like smoke is passing through. I'll add a puddle of blood on the floor and some on the creature itself. Then a camera raw filter, and here's the horror version of Netflix. Next up is Candy Crush. The original icon has candy in it, and I'm going to replace all of it with... you'll see in a bit. The top candy becomes a human heart, the circular one becomes an eyeball, and the front piece becomes a human liver. It has now officially become Organ Crush. Once all 3 are in place, I'll start shading them. Then I'll add blood early just to see where we're at, because these things need to look fresh. At first, I kept the background from the original icon, but it was reading too cheerful for what this is actually becoming. So I'll scrap it and replace it with a metal table underneath the organs. Then I'll add a drop shadow to the whole arrangement and to each organ individually. Next, I'll bring in a circular saw blade, which will get a drop shadow too. And I want it to look like the blade has been spinning and the teeth are actually inside the organs, so the liver and the eye both get scratches from it. After that, I'll add blood spatters across the scene, and once everything looks right, I'll finish it with a camera raw filter, and here's the horror version of Candy Crush. Let me know which icon was your favorite in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, you might like this one too.